Welcome to the Show Up Dad. This is a podcast for hardworking fathers looking to level up their fathering skills and be more than just a paycheck or provider for the home. I'm super pleased to welcome none other than Diego Molinar of Journeyman Apparel and Clothing. Diego has been a journeyman electrician for 15 years. He's been married for 13 and has two children, a boy and a girl. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, brother. For those of you that don't know you, bro, can you go ahead and share with our audience a little bit about yourself?
Man, I'm pretty simple guy, I guess. Just an electrician. Well, I guess the order I like to go. I mean, I'm a son, I'm a husband, and a father. You know, probably one of my greatest titles, father. And then right after that would be journeyman, if I had to put them in some kind of order. Just working to provide for the family. And, you know, I, to be quite honest, I just rather boring life, I guess, depends on who you ask, work and come home. Recently started this little venture and going down that road with Journeyman Apparel.
Right on, bro. Let's go ahead and just jump right in here real quick, Diego. How was your family dynamic growing up, dude? Like your dad and stuff like that?
It was, well, coming from a Mexican background, my dad immigrated, many years ago, came to the US from Mexico, I guess as many do, trying to provide a better life for his kids, us. So as far as my dad, I mean, he just worked, man. That's all I saw from him. That's all, he just worked. Now there was, he would make time for us. He was there. We never lacked anything that we needed, you know what I mean? Food, clothing, and shelter, But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much, well, the youngest of three. I got two older sisters. Being the youngest and the boy, I mean, it was up to me to, I remember doing house chores from a young age, cutting yard and anything else that I could get my hands on, that as far as helping out around the house.
It seems like your dad had a pretty, awesome role in your life as far as teaching you work ethic and stuff like that. What other skills did your father teach you in your development?
Man, everything really, just being handy with tools, and not being afraid to tackle a project on your own. I remember it been a couple of years ago, we had our washer broke here at the house, and it wasn't working. I get home, wife says, "Hey, washer's not working, whatever, we need a new one." That's, I guess, the woman mentality. Oh, let's just go get another one, right? I'm like, man, hold up, let's see what we can do. Pulled it away, took off the bag, boom, whatever, just started looking around. Well, turns out it was one of my keys from the locks from work and whatever. I guess I didn't empty my pockets, and it got caught in the little pump in there. So pull that key out, boom, slapped it all, put it back together with no extra parts, and it worked. She's like, man, how'd you learn to do that? How'd you know you could fix that? I'm like, I did it. I knew you could take it apart and, you just try and poke around and see what's wrong. Luckily it was rather simple. It was just a key that was blocking the pump, so stuff like that, just to be able to not have to call a handyman for something like that and just getting it done, get some tools in your hands and figure it out.
Obviously he truly modeled what we like to say as a provider, you know what I mean? For being a provider is so much more than just providing a check, right? A paycheck. He provided that security for you. He provided even to the point where, you didn't have to go look for someone to help you guys out. You know what I mean? He taught you that ethic, you know what I mean? To be able to tackle problems, being a problem solver. And that's a major, that's a sought out trait in leadership. And as fathers, we're leaders first. We're leaders at the household, and that transpires to our work,
Yeah, for sure. It definitely does. I mean, just from the home life and just being able to troubleshoot, like I said, man, that's a huge thing. Not being able to being put in those situations and figuring it out, not caving in under the situation, I guess,
Mm-hmm. What are some of the fondest memories you remember of your father, of him just being engaged with you?
It's kind of, like I said, I do remember him a lot, just really working, right? But like I said, there is some fun memories in there. One that I really remember and that I have said I want to do, and that's, I remember riding our bikes around the neighborhood, and him kind of walking / running around there next to us. I'm not saying he was greatest athlete, but we'd be riding around for a little bit. He'd be running there next to us. And this was years ago. But yeah, he was there, man. And he was there for us through thick and thin.
Have you
or is.
Oh, so he's still alive then, right?
Yes, definitely still alive. Yes.
Right on, brother. Have you caught yourself showing these same traits to your children that you were taught by him?
Yeah, definitely. Just as a dad of a boy and a girl, I want to make sure I teach my daughter, my son as well, but I think even more so my daughter to be independent, self-sufficient as well, for minor things, where she don't always need a guy there to do something for her. Just for example, the other day I had a light go out in my truck, and 2 little screws hold that tail light in, and I was like, here, put that screwdriver in her hand. I'm like, here, take, we got to change out this bulb. And just something as simple as knowing how to use a screwdriver. It seems very silly, but it's just those life skills that can carry on forever. One of the biggest things too that I like doing with them is, I'm not sponsored by Home Depot, but Home Depot, they're the little kids workshop deal they have, right? It's the first Saturday of the month. Well, our schedule got all thrown off schedule with COVID and whatnot, but just taking them out and letting them, man, I mean, their faces, the way they light up when they see what they built, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Then they paint, they built some little cars, and they still have them, instead of, sometimes I catch them, instead of playing with the Toys R Us car or, whatever, the store-bought toy, I catch them playing with that. It's awesome, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Looking back, when you see your kids and they're lighted up with joy, you know what I mean, of just their brains just firing off and just excited about a new thing that they're working on, right? Do you see yourself in your kids and how your father, when he showed you something new, do you see yourself in him?
Yes, minus the yelling. But no, definitely, just that wonder of figuring something out, knowing that they did it, definitely, definitely see a lot of myself in them.
You mentioned yelling. Now, I grew up like that too. You know what I mean? My dad used to tell me in Spanish, no tiene miedo. You know what I mean? He'd tell me, don't be afraid, get close.
Yeah.
And if you weren't close to the work, he would backhand you, I'll be honest. You know what I mean? That's the way, my old man, raised us. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
for sure.
With that being said, you obviously don't want to do that same thing to your children, right? You noticed that was not a good way to learn, correct?
Yeah, I mean, uh, those were their ways, man. Nothing,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, nothing to take away from what they did, or how they did it. I mean, like I've heard some of the other guests say. I mean, you're just doing what you think is right, man.
Yeah.
And I definitely, although I learned a lot from him, the way I got a lot of those lessons were probably not the best. It was a lot of yelling and a lot of well, there was no abuse, but verbally, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely, I don't want to go down that road.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, there is different ways to be able to get across to them, and that's the way I'm going about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, transitioning back to you being a journeyman, brother, have you seen that same way you carry on with your children? Do you apply that with your apprentices? And have you seen a difference instead of yelling at them versus trying to explain?
Yeah, I mean, you try to, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh I guess it comes with being a little bit older too. It comes with the age. I don't know if it's the age or the father part, but it definitely changes. um I think more, like out in the field when you are dealing with apprentices, I think that my dad comes out more.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're dealing with some grown uh adults, that you expect a bit more. I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest difference, with me, with my kids, is that I can't expect them to know something that I haven't taught them.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you mean, again, it could apply to an apprentice as well.
Yes.
But when you have a guy, an apprentice, that you've taught, um, you expect them to be able to get it and go.
Mm-hmm.
We were having this conversation the other day, about that. You know, the way my dad, man, I mean, we're putting up sheetrock. I mean, I was probably, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. And, he's yelling at me like a grown man. Like if I've been a professional sheetrocker my whole life. It's like, bro, it's like, hold up, man. I mean, show me. But again, I mean, that's just what they knew. And again, that's where I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
be a little bit different in, and understanding what they do know, and then trying to teach them from there.
Yeah, no, and that's awesome that you're aware of that, going through the way you were brought up, the way I was brought up, once you become aware and you obviously see that, hey, it goes back to the golden rule, you know what I mean? Treat others as you want to be treated, bottom
Right.
line. So, I know I didn't learn being yelled at. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
You know what
You
I
shut
mean?
down. You
You,
shut
you,
down.
you literally do. And I was even in the military, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, when they're constantly in your grill, just you know what I mean? And you're not gonna learn, you know what I mean? And what I've learned as a journeyman lineman, as a foreman and stuff like that, through the different transition in my trade, you have those linemen who yell like hell. I grew up with the old school line hands, you know what I mean? Where they
Yeah.
taught you the 3-strike rule. First they show you, then they let you do it, and your third time you better have mastered it or you're down the road. You know what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
way it was in construction linemen. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
they didn't have time, you know. So they were screamers. I mean, they would hit you with the pair of Kleins, you know what I mean? Like when the journeyman, I remember I was working out in Texas, West Texas, and when the journeyman and the foreman would be drinking beer, I'd be washing their truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they didn't, you were not allowed for about a good 6 months. And then they're like, all right, come over here. They call me Pepe. Like, come here, Pepe. You know what I mean? Because you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They didn't know what I was. Like, what are you, a Mexican or are you a Mexican? They'd give you all kinds of crap.
Right.
You know how it is. And
My first journeyman was like that, man. May he rest in peace, man. He was a good old dude, man. But man, just a sour, bitter, mad old man.
mm-hmm.
And like you said, same thing, coming from the military. And then I was like, hey, I mean, like I said, it didn't bother me much. It got old after a while, but you know what? in between all that yelling, he sure did teach me a lot too, though, you know. And then it was funny because one day that was my first job, my first journeyman, and my one day I just had it, and I'm like, look, I'm like, I know you're an old man. I've got a lot of respect for you, but I'm like, if you're gonna keep talking to me like this, we're gonna go outside. And I tell you what, the next day he brought me breakfast, and from then on, you know, he talked to me like a person, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I should have done that a while back, but it didn't bother me much. You know, like I said, that's how I was raised by my dad. The military, okay, you know, there's he's trying to establish, you know, dominance or whatever that he's done, man. Cool, man. Let him have it. It's part of the game, you know.
Yeah.
But it was just a point where I was like, you know what, that's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, and I think they try to push you to that point just to see what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? And then once they figure out your hand, then it's like, okay, well, you know, let me show you something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. He was an awesome old man. Taught me a lot. Those 6 months I was with him, man, he taught me a lot in the trade. It was awesome.
So how have you liked working as a journeyman electrician?
Man, it's beautiful. I mean, I love, well, right now I'm actually an organizer right now for my local. But you know, being out in the field, I mean, I miss it. You know, everybody I tell, like, yeah, right, you're in the office, you know, gravy. But you know, there's truly some days that I miss being out in the field. It's just uh especially on our side, you know, everything's changing. You know, that's one thing I really like, is that it was the constant change. The scenery would change, the location. There was many years as an apprentice that I was on a service truck. You know, we were never at the same spot, you know, 2 days in a row. And it's just, you stay engaged in what you're doing. You stay on your toes, because, you know, all right, well, what are we gonna do today? There wasn't room to get complacent. You know, but no, it's definitely awesome. You know, that reward factor when you would walk away from a job. You know, it's I don't know. There's nothing else like it. You know, as far as being out in the trade, walking away from a finished project that's working.
Yeah, exactly. Now looking back, Diego, it looks like your father taught you a lot of self-sufficiency and life skills. How does that transpire to what you're doing now, as far as working out, how you're doing in the office and stuff like that? How have you been able to utilize those skills where you're at now?
I mean, I would say it's just get it done, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's you know, we're here to provide. You know, I've always wanted, seems silly, but I've always wanted the family, the family life. You know, so I've gotten what I've asked for, and you know, I got to make sure I provide. You know, being at work, I mean, you know, all that I think has helped me climb, I guess, or to be able to keep providing. You know, just showing up and working. You know, that you'd be surprised how far that goes, and how many kids. You know, you're getting old when you start calling these youngsters kids. But you know, you'd be surprised how many of these new guys coming in just don't get that. Just show up on time, work. You know, at the position I'm in, as far as organizing, man, I see so many people coming in, you know, not dressed for the part. You know, you're coming in looking for an electrician position, coming in gym shorts and sandals. It's like, you know, my dad would have my ass if I went out looking for a job like that. Where you going looking like that? You know what I mean? and as far as, man, when I was still living at home, there was some long nights. But I tell you what, did I get up the next morning and go to work? Hell yeah, because I did not want to face him knowing that I didn't go to work. Oh, you want to be out all night and have fun, but you can't go to work. I mean, that was his thing. Hey, do what you want, but be a man about your work too. Hey, they need you there. So. Yeah, I mean, just as far as make sure you take care of your job.
Yeah, that's cool that you said that, because when you're talking about that, about like, partying all night and still showing up for work, I mean, there's a lot of kids that don't do that nowadays. One of the sayings my dad always said, well, you want to hoot with the owls, you better soar with the eagles. You know what I mean? The next day, you know what I mean? So it's definitely something that is being phased out, that work ethic, and kudos to your old man for teaching you that, for real.
Bro, there was a guy I worked with, that he was I still don't get this. If his football team lost, he wouldn't make it that next day. And at that time I was already a journeyman. He was my apprentice, and he had a kid, wife, and he was the only one working. And I can't understand that. I mean, still to this day, I cannot understand how you're gonna leave money on the table because you were upset over a team. Maybe I didn't get that diehard sports fanatic from my dad. But I mean, like I said, I'm not going to leave money on the table because my team lost, and I'm too heartbroken to go to work. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. That's priorities. You know what I mean? The only time I ever really didn't show up for work, I mean, I showed up with pneumonia and everything, almost a collapsed lung, and I'm still over there building friggin' steel towers. You know what I mean? But was my family. You know what I mean? Whenever something was going on with my family, I made it a point to try to get back as soon as possible. I remember a couple times I was on the road, I was working out of state, and my wife, she had a miscarriage. You know what I mean? She miscarried twice. You know what I mean? And second time, she almost bled to death. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
And I was out of town. So, I definitely try to get back as much as possible. Now, I want to transition into you being a father, Diego. That's what this whole show is about fatherhood, right? Being engaged with our children. So what are the difficulties that you've had to overcome as a father now that you also have a side business? Obviously, being a father is hard work, dude, and you already have another 9-to-5 job or whatever your hours are. How is it difficult now that you've added this extra project to the table?
Well, it definitely comes down to just time, man. I know that's everybody's excuse. Oh man, not enough time. I mean, there is plenty of time. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it. Sometimes when I get home, and that's when my second job kicks in. It's all social media nowadays. And it's pulling yourself away from that, knowing when to be able to do that, because you got to keep in mind, I'm a husband as well, so I get home, I do the dad thing, and I'm there with them, and dinner time, and try to help with the house stuff when I can, or when I'm reminded. And then that's when I'll try and pick up with the journeyman, and doing what I need to do there. Once I help put the kids to bed, it's just I guess the added issue is really just managing time, making sure I balance it out.
And how do you balance it? Like what are some of the things that you do to balance it? I'm always curious. I always ask our guests on here, because that way our audience can kind of see that we're real, and maybe you have something that can help someone out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, to be quite honest, this past month or so, I guess I've been a little bit off of my schedule. But I try and get up early so I can do what I can, whether it be designing or again just being on social media, or trying to interact with on social media, fulfilling orders and stuff like that. But really just designing. I'd rather wake up and do that on my time. That way, when the kids, or for example, on the weekends, when the kids are up, and stuff like that, I'm able to focus on them. One of the things I hate the most is I hate to go and just sit in the corner on the computer, and while the kids or the family's doing something else. So I'd rather try and get up early so I can do what I need to do, and either get to work, like I said, during the week, or be with them if it's during the weekend. But and like I said, same thing in the afternoon. We tried put them to bed about 8:30 or so, and which always turns into a little bit longer, but and then spend time with the wife. That I think that's one thing that can easily get overlooked a lot of the times, is they need, or I guess hopefully while they still want you, while they still want to spend some time with you, you got to make sure you make time for them as well.
Absolutely. You always got to get that mama time in, right?
Yes, sir.
If mama ain't happy, no one's happy.
That's for damn sure.
What are some of the positive effects that you've seen from doing that, from managing time, blocking your time the way you've been doing? What have you noticed in your kids?
Well, I mean, again, most on the weekends, or I guess in that afternoons. I mean, it's just they need you, man. Your kids need you. For it was actually this Mother's Day, last year Mother's Day. It was a nice day, and I was beating myself up for the fact my daughter was 8. And as she's 7, she still had training wheels, and I didn't like that, man. I didn't like that. I felt as a failure as a dad, that she still had training wheels, because that was just again, those are stuff that dad teaches the kids, and I was like, man, why haven't I? And really it just comes down to time. So I'm like, you know what, come on, I'm like, grab your bike, let's go. Actually, I got a pretty cool video. I'll shoot to you, when we had already been practicing, and there little by little, and that day, it was Mother's Day. I took him off. I was like, man, here, go. And man, she just hopped on and took off. I mean, like I said, we had been practicing already, but that day they were completely off. She found her balance and she was on it. It was awesome. But yeah, just making the time for them, to be able to spend with them and show them things,
How do they react to that though? When you actually engage with your children, do you find that they're less attentive for negative attention? You know what I mean? Or like they're not acting out as much? I know for me, if my kids are acting up, there's something that they need. There's something that they're not getting.
Man, to be quite honest, I got great kids, man. And I guess some people have asked what we do. I mean, we do not hit them, but me and my wife are on the same damn page as far as raising the kids. There's discipline, and they know, they know, as far as what they can and cannot do. But as far as acting out, you could really tell when you're being engaging with them. I mean, they're asking more questions. I mean, they're there. They're just curious little kids, and they got stuff to learn, and they got stuff they want to ask, and you just see that fulfillment in them, that they were able to, you took that time to answer that question, take an interest in what they're doing. They're building something with them little magnetic blocks my son has, and hey, look, check this out, or just taking a little bit extra time to, like, what, put the phone down, and I'll get on the floor with them and, like, here, let's see what else we can build. They're just, I think they get a lot from those moments, I think.
Absolutely. And then just when their face lights up when you're actually engaged with them. I know my son, he likes Legos, right? I mean, he's a Lego
Yeah.
fanatic. And now he likes me making little characters with clay. So when he comes to me, it's like I stop everything, right? And I'll just start building him a clay creature. It'll take me 5 minutes, dude, if that. And he's
Yeah.
happy. I mean, that I just filled his attention tank right there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He goes off in his own little world and starts freaking fighting them and whatever else, making sound effects and everything else little rambunctious little redheads do. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think that's probably one of my problems, to be honest. My wife tells me that, again, I guess the difference of me and my dad, my dad would not be so concerned as if I wanted to play that day, versus what he needed to get done. And I mean, I guess I'm a softie for my kids, man. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but I would love to spend all day, every day playing with them. And it's hard sometimes to pull away from that to do what I need to do, be it little, home improvements and, whatever stuff. Sometimes it's hard to pull away from that because I want to spend that time with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is something you're trying to overcome in your parenting that keeps you up at night? What worries you about raising kids?
Man, I mean, I guess if I'm teaching them enough, life is unexpected, and you could never know, when you can go meet your maker, right? And am I teaching them enough to be able to survive? I mean, like I said, I mean, I would not be the person I am without my parents, my dad's influence, all these years. And I guess it's about, are you making enough in these years? Are you making enough impact on them that's going to define who and how they're going to be, when they get older, and also one thing I've started, I need to keep on with it. One thing I need to keep on is, I started a journal, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, of life lessons, that I would like for them to read. And God willing, I'm still around. I hand it to them when they get older, or if not, something they could pick up, and just some different little life lessons they can read. Because I guess my thinking is just thinking as far as how you were as a teenager. Even though we got a great relationship right now, and I don't see us yelling and fighting and all that right now, it can or may come,
Yeah.
But I think if you write this stuff down, to my son, look, you're gonna, or even both of them, look, you're gonna get to an age where you think you know more than I do, and all this type of stuff, and you're gonna, that I'm dumb and all this kind of stuff. Because I thought about that about my dad too. I think if you put these truths in front of them and they see it, they're like, oh man, I'm hoping it'll be able to get them out of those funks, or get past that dad is dumb stage, if I'm calling it out to them 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, I think that's probably my biggest, I guess what I'm trying to overcome is just making sure I teach them enough, fill them with as many life lessons as you can, to hopefully keep them on a good path.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what all fathers need to realize or try to accomplish. You know what I mean? I mean, we all make mistakes. No one's perfect, right? But a bad moment isn't necessarily a bad life. And I'm quoting one of the past guests that we had on here, Dr. Stephen Poulter. Awesome dude. I mean, he has tons of books, Father Factor, Shame Factor, all kinds of different stuff, right? And highly acclaimed, doctor, you know what I mean, in this realm. But I think we need to, as fathers, really, just like you touched it, is to help our children become productive members of society. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of a drag on society. If we could teach them skills to overcome. I mean, because life's not easy. We know that. You know what I mean? You're gonna have hills and valleys, hills and valleys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when those valleys come, and you know what I mean, we got to teach them how to get over that. One of the lessons I learned from my father, but also from another journeyman lineman foreman who I really looked up to, he had always tell me that what makes a good journeyman lineman is not necessarily how you get yourself into a bind, but how you get yourself out of a bind. He's all, because
Yeah.
you're gonna get yourself in a bind. I don't give a shit how good you are. Excuse my language. I don't care how good you are as a hand. You're gonna find yourself in a bind, and you got to be able to think yourself out of it. And that holds true in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Man, yeah, that is very true. I mean, it's not a when it's going to happen, or it's a matter of just when something bad is going to happen, and what are you going to do to react. Again, something as simple as changing a tire. I mean, I want them to be able to again be self-sufficient. As much as they can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Level heads prevail too. And when it hits the fan, calm, cool, collective, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Now, I wanted to ask you, Diego, what is something you do to keep from getting complacent in your marriage or with your children? Obviously, sometimes when we tendency to get into not a rut, I would say, I guess it could be called a rut, but and we get complacent. Everything's the same thing day over. You're getting up at 9, you're getting off at 5. I mean, you're just
Right.
going through your day. How do you keep from getting complacent in your marriage and with your children?
I mean, you try and introduce different. I guess you got to try and mix it up. As far as for me and the wife, you got to try and go get on a new adventure once in a while. I guess just recently, a couple months ago, we went out to what they call the hill country, little wine country. You got to make time for each other alone. To also to be adults, and to be those little high schoolers, or little lovebirds that are like when you met, carefree and child free.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make time for that. It does get hard sometimes, to make that time, and really you just got to set it and make it. We actually had another little getaway plan because we knew we knew my son's in baseball right now. I actually signed up to be a coach. I don't know what I was thinking. And we knew we were fixing to be bogged down with that. So we had a getaway plan. And man, my wife, dude, well, she's awesome. Again, knowing, and this is stuff that I still don't learn and I should be getting better at, but she was like, let's go ahead and let's get away. All this is coming. At first I fought it for a little bit, and then I was like, you're right. We are fixing to get stupid busy. As far as, like I said, baseball, it takes all your evenings and weekends. And I was like, you know what, let's go. And again, kind of with that same mentality, got to be, I'm still lucky that she still wants to go out with me. So you definitely got to take advantage of that. Oh well, yeah. So we didn't get to go. That's when this whole freeze apocalypse happened here, So we had to cancel that weekend. But yeah, man, just trying to do some different stuff. As far as with the kids, I think just giving them something to look forward to as well. That Home Depot deal, they're looking
Mm-hmm.
forward to that weekend. Trying to mix it up. Really been getting some ideas here from your show too.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to teach them more. I guess that's really the biggest thing is
Mm-hmm.
you show them different stuff. Hell, there's some stuff I need to learn too. um, you know I found there's this little park here that during the summers they do different little programs.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they had fishing. Again, one of those things that my dad never made time to take us fishing or to do that type of stuff. So I was like, hell, let's go. Took my daughter. Then she caught her first little fish there. It was awesome. So yeah, just trying to make those different moments, different memories.
That's pretty cool. And absolutely, you know what I mean? That's why we make this podcast to add to your arsenal as a father. You know what I mean? Whether it be with your health, with your spouse, with your children, whatever, you know what I mean? You got to be you got to be, like you call it, a journeyman, right?
Yes,
And,
sir.
and that's a jack of all trades. And that's what we wear as a father. We wear that hat. You know what I mean? We're a father, we're a husband, we're a provider, we're a protector, we're a nurturer. We wear these different hats, you know what I mean? So why not try to utilize stuff that we can learn from each other, you know what I mean? At these tailboards, like I call them here on this podcast, the show up,
Yeah.
you know, one of the past guests we had on here, I don't know if you've ever seen his show, Surreal. He's the representative from Hawaii that's representing linemen across the nation in the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and the tough as nails
Right.
competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the things he said, I don't know if you got to hear that podcast, but he was talking about how he keeps from getting complacent by going for a drive, man. He'll just tell his kids, get in. Where are we going, Dad? I don't care. Let's go.
Right.
Go. And they just drive, you know what I mean? And it breaks up the monotony.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And definitely keeping them engaged in that drive. No, I haven't listened to that one. You check it out. But one of the things I like to do as far as when we are in a drive, I think I might have heard it on the podcast somewhere too. When we're on our way back, kind of I'll get a different road, and I'm like, all right, how do we get home? Just keep them engaged. And I guess another little proud dad moment, man. Our kids don't have devices. I'm probably going way against the grain with my comments here, but they don't have devices. My daughter's 9, my son is 6, and we finally got my daughter an iPad just because sadly they need to go ahead and learn how to navigate those devices, right? I mean, I understand you can't have them be totally blind to an iPad, a computer, and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have, it's not theirs. But one day, some other kids, my wife was taking them, and some other kids were in the car, and the kids were like, they're like, so what do you do in the car? Like, where's your iPad? Where's the monitors or something? And they're like, well, what do y'all do? My daughter's like, we look out the window. I mean, enjoy. I mean, that's again how we were raised. I mean, I guess that's really my biggest take on our. Like I said, me and my wife on the very same page. We're trying to raise them as much how we were. As far as the devices, man, pen and paper, bro. We go out to a restaurant, man, they just get that little the menu with them crayons, and we're going at it. Another example you're saying as far as being engaged. I mean, it's right there. When we go out to eat, we're there. That little menu has tic-tac-toe. Hey, let's go. We're going at it. Fighting for tic-tac-toe instead of here's your phone, play your silly games. While me and the wife are on our phones as well. We're all there involved playing tic-tac-toe. We're coloring. Whatever it is. Just trying to be a part of their lives.
No, I agree with you 100%, brother. And it's so sad too. Like when you're fortunate enough and to go out and go and eat, we're still locked down here in New Mexico, but you know what I mean? When we used to go out, I mean, I would look at every single table and like you, I'm over there playing tic-tac-toe or drawing or talking with mama or whatever, you know what I mean? And the kids
Right.
are coloring. And you look around the table and everybody from the father down to the youngest child has a device, dude, and no
Yeah.
one's talking at all.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know.
No, I mean, and that's like I said. I mean, I think where a lot of this, I guess, when when you look back and kind of see where we're going and issues,
Mm-hmm.
it comes from little things like that. You want to just ignore your kid, and then you want to wonder why they're doing what they're doing. I mean, they're asking they're acting out for attention. They're acting out or they don't know no better. Kids now they don't know how to hold a conversation. That's just because they're just talking and staring into a phone. They can't hold a conversation. That them little you putting them in those situations, asking them questions and whatever. Get them thinking, get them learning how to interact and those life people skills.
No, I agree with you, brother. Now, if you were to take a self assessment, Diego, and really look at yourself in the mirror, right? You know, do you feel like you're living a life of significance now with everything you're doing? Or do you see that there's room for improvement?
I mean, there's always room for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, significance as far as a dad here at home, or um,
Just in life, just being significant, leaving a legacy. You know what I mean?
I think there's more to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do more as on my end. I'm very fortunate. I love my job being an organizer because I feel like change a lot of people's lives
Mm-hmm.
um, on daily. But part of me feels like it doesn't really count because I'm getting paid to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it is rewarding, but it's like I wish I could help more people in that capacity. Um, but I guess not paid. No, I'm not telling you I don't want to get paid, but you know what I mean. Something outside of work.
Yeah.
We do quite a bit of volunteer work. It's been a little bit slow. But there is more that I want to do, and that's partly that's one of the things I want to do. Part of the goal, to be quite honest, with Journeyman Apparel,
Mm-hmm.
is I do want to bring all tradesmen together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in a positive fashion. That's why we see a lot of my stuff, my designs is as far as keeping it positive and forward thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the shirt I'm wearing right now, the Define. You know, it's you're taking it to the higher standard and being a role model.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to bring the union and non-union, close that gap between us, because again, as they say, divided we fall. And right now, with that big division, the union non-union division,
Mm-hmm.
that's all that does is help the owners. That they want us fighting. We're fighting over here on the lower end, and the shop owners, the non-union shop owners, are just laughing. So part of the goal is to, like I said, as far as that's what I'm hoping to do with this is show this non-union journeyman and union journeyman, hey, we're the same people. At the end of the day, we're the same people trying to provide. We're skilled in our craft, and to create that conversation and hopefully help them out as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's pretty awesome that you want to do that. And that's a vision that you have, you know what I mean? Because obviously there is a gap there, you know. As union hands, we set the prevailing wage. We know that, right? Um,
Right.
I think that we need to educate them, you know what I mean, on how much better it is on our side, you know what I mean? But like you said, if we can't stop bickering, if we can't, you know, grow up and stop calling them rats, you know what I mean?
Right.
I know, you know, if I was a rat hand, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to be called that, honestly.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, you know, it's time to educate them. You know what I mean? Obviously, we want them, you know, if we don't, we need to do something, honestly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because times are changing and I've seen a lot of non-union companies popping up, dude, and they're doing a lot of work. They don't have the education as we do as far as training goes,
Yeah.
but they're willing to do whatever it takes, you know.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that's something that we're trying to change the culture as far as, you know, Cal Nev with Line 11, you know, Gene Gloudman over there, he's trying to change the culture over there. You know what I mean? A long
Yeah.
time ago, union hands used to police their own. And
Right.
he stopped doing that. You know what I mean? If we had an issue with somebody, we'd go tell them, hey, dude, pull your head out of your butt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come on, dude, you're better than that. You're union. Show it. You know what I mean? Somehow we've lost that.
Yeah, no, definitely. So like like you mentioned, you got all these guys coming in, and if you might both be hanging out at the same bar, but you don't know it. You both go in there wearing your journeyman shirts, and now, hey man, so you're a journeyman? Oh man, me too. And union, non-union, you have that conversation.
Mhm.
Man, you're not. I don't see no tail on you. You're not so bad. And then them to you as well. Well, you're not all this bad stuff they make us union guys to be.
Mhm.
Hell, for all our kids are playing baseball together or whatever.
Mhm.
Like I said, you gotta erase some of those lines and have that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, you know, going back to what we're talking about here, I had a man correct me, and he was one of my guests, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you know, this is for tradesmen, you know what I mean? We're journeyman linemen or journeyman plumbers or whatever, you know what I mean?" And he's
Yeah,
like, "Well, David, the one thing we all have in common," he told me, he's like, "Oh, we're all fathers." He's like, "I've worked with guys who make more money than God," is what he said, "and I've worked with blue collar workers like yourself." He's
yeah,
like, at the end of the day, it's a level playing field. I want your family to do good. I want your children to do good. And you want my children to do good. He's like,
right.
we're all fathers. You know what I mean? And I thought that was pretty profound, him saying that. And if we take that same mentality into, you know, the union versus non-union, you know what I mean? That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? We are
Yeah,
all someone's father, brother, sister, mother, husband.
yes, sir.
We're people, right?
Yep.
So I wanted to ask you, bro, this is the last question. Looking back 15 years, Diego, what advice would you give yourself to be a show up dad?
Hmm. Man, just be there. I guess sounds so simple. But no, not be there, right? Because anybody can be there,
Mm-hmm.
but want to be there. You know, want to spend that time with your kids. Want to spend that time with your spouse, with your wife. I think that's the biggest difference. I think a lot of us go to work because we need to, but the same thing with your kids. I mean, yeah, you can come home and you're there, but if you're not really there with them, um, are you? So yeah, just want to be there, and want to be better for them.
Mm. Yeah, that was awesome, brother. I really like that. You know, that was some good wisdom you dropped on there, Diego. Well, once again, Diego, thank you for being a part of the Show Up Dad movement, bro. And, I thank you for coming on here and just sharing your wisdom, dude.
Man, thank you for having me. When you reached out, just definitely nervous, cause everybody has their own take on being a dad, I think we're all doing this to the best we can. Like I said, definitely been listening to your show and picking up some other tips from other guys, from other dads. And it's just, you got to take care of yourself, your health. I'm working on that myself a little bit better. Because again, that was another goal that I've always said. I want to be able to chase these kids down, for as long as I can. You got to take care of yourself to be able to be there, to walk them, to go embarrass them at prom or anything else. But you got to be there in order to be able to do that.
Well, right on, brother. Can you share with our audience how they can get a hold of you? Because I saw that cool hat you had on there, that one hat, flat bill you're wearing. Yeah, that one, the local. That's a dope hat, dude. That's a really cool hat. Can you share with our audience and how they can get in touch with you and stuff like that, if you don't mind?
It's Journeyman Apparel, Journeyman without the vowels, JRNYMN Apparel. On Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, and man, just feel free to reach out. Any questions? Like I said, man, I'm never claimed to be the perfect dad or the best dad, but I mean, I'm the dad for my kids, and I'm just doing the best I can.
Absolutely, brother. We all are, man. And thank you for showing up, bro. And once again, thank you, our audience, for listening to this. This is brought to you by the Show Up Dad Foundation. We are a nonprofit organization looking to ignite that fire for father engagement. For more info on our Fathering in 15 program, go to www.theshowupdadfoundation.org. And this episode is brought to you by our sponsors at On Fire Ministries, Line 11, and the Modern Day Tradesman. They're on Instagram. Give them a look. They got awesome apparel and other cool stuff. Once again, thanks for being a Show Up Dad.